Hegel's Phenomenology of Spirit. Religion in the form of art continued. The living work of art. The nation that approaches its God in the cult of the religion of art is the ethical nation that knows its state and the actions of the state to be the will and the achievement of its own self. The spirit confronting the self-conscious nation is therefore not the divine light, which, being devoid of a self, does not contain within it the self-certainty of the individuals, but is only their universal essence and the lordly power in which they disappear. The cult of the religion of this simple amorphous essence gives back to its votaries, therefore, in general merely this, that they are the people of their God, who secures for them only their enduring existence and their substance as such, not, however, their actual self, which on the contrary is rejected, for they reverence their God as the empty depth, not as spirit. But the cult of the religion of art, on the other hand, is without that abstract simplicity of the essence and therefore of its depth. That essence, however, which is immediately united with the self, is in itself spirit, and the truth that is a knowing, though still not the truth that is known, or the truth that knows itself in the depths of its nature. Because then the essence here contains a self, its manifestation is well disposed towards consciousness, and in the cult, consciousness receives not only the general sanction of its enduring existence, but also its conscious existence in the cult itself, just as conversely, the essence does not have an actuality devoid of self in a rejected people whose substance merely is acknowledged, but in the people whose self is acknowledged in its substance. Self-consciousness, then, comes forth from the cult, satisfied in its essence, and the God enters into it as into its habitation. This habitation is by itself the night of substance or its pure individuality, but no longer the tense individuality of the artist, an individuality which has not yet reconciled itself with its essence, that is in process of becoming objective. It is the satisfied night of substance, which has its pathos within hand, is not in need of anything, because it returns from intuition, from the objectivity that has been superseded. This pathos is by itself the being of the risen sun, but a being which has now set within itself, and has its setting or going down, that is self-consciousness, and hence existence and actuality within itself. It has here traversed the movement of its actualization, coming down from its pure essential nature and becoming an objective force of nature and the expressions of that force. It is an outer existence for the other, for the self, by which it is consumed. The silent essence of selfless nature in its fruits attains to that stage where, self-prepared and digested, it offers itself to life that has a self-like nature. In its usefulness as food and drink, it reaches its highest perfection, for in this it is the possibility of a higher existence and comes into contact with spiritual reality. In its metamorphosis, the earth spirit has developed partly into a silently energizing substance, partly into a spiritual fermentation. In the first case, it is the feminine principle of nourishment, in the other, the masculine principle, the self-impelling force of self-conscious existence. In this enjoyment, then, is revealed what the divine risen light really is. Enjoyment is the mystery of its being, for the mystical is not concealment of a secret or ignorance, but consists in the self-knowing itself to be one with its divine being, and that this therefore is revealed. Only the self is manifest to itself, or what is manifest is so only in the immediate certainty of itself. but it is his immediate certainty that the simple divine being has been placed by the cult. As a thing that can be used, it not only has an existence that is seen, felt, smelt, tasted, but it is also an object of desire, and by being actually enjoyed, becomes one with the self, and thereby completely revealed to the self and manifest to it. That which is said to be manifest to reason, to the heart, is in fact still secret, for it still lacks the actual certainty of immediate existence, both the certainty of objectivity and the certainty belonging to enjoyment, a certainty which in religion, however, is not merely immediate and unthinking, but is at the same time purely the certainty that is known by the self. What has thus through the cult become manifest to self-conscious spirit within itself is simple essence as the movement, partly out of its dark night of concealment up into consciousness, there to be its silently nourishing substance, but no less, however, the movement of again losing itself in the nether darkness and lingering above only with a silent maternal yearning. The moving impulse is, however, nothing but the many-named divine light of the risen sun, and its undisciplined, tumultuous life, which similarly let go from it its merely abstract being, at first enters into the objective existence of the fruit, and then surrendering itself to self-consciousness, in it attains to general reality. And now roams about as a crowd of frenzied females, the untamed revelry of nature in self-conscious form. Or it might take the form of St. Francis of Assisi, as depicted by Zurbaran. There are many sides to religion, you know. But I like that painting. But what is disclosed to consciousness is still only absolute, that is, abstract spirit, which is the simple essence, not spirit as it is in its own self. In other words, it is only immediate spirit, the spirit of nature. Consequently, its self-conscious life is only the mystery of bread and wine, of Ceres and of Bacchus, and not of the other, the strictly higher gods, whose individuality includes as an essential moment of self-consciousness as such. Therefore, spirit has not yet sacrificed itself as self-conscious spirit to self-consciousness, and the mystery of bread and wine is not yet the mystery of flesh and blood. This undisciplined revelry of the god must bring itself to rest as an object, and the enthusiasm which did not attain to consciousness must produce a work that confronts it as in the previous case. The statue confronts the artist as a work, moreover, that is equally complete, but not, however, as an intrinsically lifeless, but as a living self. Such a cult is the festival which man celebrates in his own honour, though not yet imparting to that cult the significance of the absolute being. For it is essence that is manifest to him at first, not yet spirit, not as something that essentially takes on human form. But this cult lays the foundation for this revelation and unfolds its moments separately. Thus here we have the abstract moment of the living corporeality of essence, just as previously we had the unity of both in an unconscious revelry. Man thus puts himself in the place of the statue as the shape that has been raised and fashioned for perfectly free movement, just as the statue is perfectly free repose, although each individual knows how to play the part of at least a torchbearer. One of them comes forward who is the patent movement, the smooth elaboration and fluent energy of all the participants. He is an inspired and living work of art that matches strength with its beauty, and on him is bestowed, as a reward for his strength, the decoration with which the statue was honoured, and the honour of being, in place of the god in stone, the highest bodily representation among his people of their essence. In both representations, which have just come here before us, there is present the unity of self-consciousness and spiritual essence, but they are still not equally balanced against each other. In the Bacchic enthusiasm, it is the self that is beside itself, but the corporeal beauty it is spiritual, but incorporeal beauty, it is spiritual essence. The stupor of consciousness and its wild stammering utterance, in the former case, must be taken up into the clear existence of the latter, and the non-spiritual clarity of the latter into the inwardness of the former. The perfect element in which inwardness is just as external as externality is inward is once again speech, but it is neither the speech of the oracle, wholly contingent and individual as regards its content, nor the emotional hymn sung in praise of the individual God, nor again is it the meaningful stammer of Bacchic frenzy. On the contrary, it has gained a lucid and universal content, a content that is lucid because the artist has worked his way out of the initial enthusiasm, originally wholly from substance, into a definite shape. This shape is his own existence, which in all its stirrings and impulses is permeated and accompanied by self-conscious soul, and the content is universal, for in this festival which honours man there vanishes the one-sidedness of the statues, which contain only a national spirit, a specific character of the divine nature. The handsome warrior is indeed the glory of his particular nation, but he is a corporeal individuality in which are swallowed up the fullness and seriousness of meaning and the inner character of the spirit which bears the particular life, the demands, the needs and customs of his nation. In this kenosis, this externalization of itself into complete corporeality, spirit has laid aside the special influences and sympathies of nature, which, as the spirit of the nation it contained, shut up within it. Its nation is therefore no longer conscious in this spirit of its particularity, but rather of having laid this aside, and is conscious of the universality of its human existence. A vision of Jerusalem. That is where we are heading. To revealed religion, I mean.